The thoughts, views, expressions, and opinions of this podcast, as well as its hosts, are for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. We simply want to encourage, shed insight, empower, equip, and inspire those who listen. We are not trained professionals or claim to be. It does not constitute or take place of actual advice from your doctor or therapist. We hope you enjoy the show. Thank you.
Could have just pushed the button wrong.
I could have.
Listen, it's technology. It always happens.
All right, everybody. As we're getting settled here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy 2024, bro.
2024.
Oh, geez, I better calm down.
It's
That's loud. Hey.
It's finally here.
Hey. Sorry.
So 2024 is finally here. It happened.
We made it, guys.
We made it. We actually had it up and down roller coaster kind of a year, which is to be expected because we are warriors of God, and warriors of God go through adversity, bro.
I would say if we weren't going through, if we didn't have any downs, we ain't doing it right.
Right, exactly. I mean, if the devil hates us, we're doing a great job, you know, because he's setting us up, trying to derail us from our task at hand.
100%.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited at 2024. It's you preached New Year's Eve. Let's give you a quick little shout out.
Yes, some idiot gave me the mic for Sunday, and I got to preach. I was blessed with the ability to preach.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, and
I was present.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Although I kind of almost called him out, and I was like, "Bro, you want me to preach on the least attended day of the year?"
Yeah.
No, it was cool. He was actually at our sister location, sharing the word down there.
Yeah.
And then I got to preach. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was a good message.
I got a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
Especially from my family.
Yeah, because sometimes we do fall short, and when I say we as the body, right? We do fall short with not how we serve, but the approach of serving people.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Serving people. And
I see you paid attention.
Yes, I always pay attention, bro. I always pay attention, and like it was very. It was a friendly reminder, and I believe you even said that this is a friendly reminder for those believers who sometimes find themselves in a place where they're not fully operating in their full capacity when it comes to serving the church, serving the community,
100%.
and in serving others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously used Jesus as a perfect example.
Prime example.
As you should, as a preacher, as a minister
the best way
of
possible.
the gospel, is that Jesus came here not to be served, but to serve. So I really appreciated the message. It was great. Annalise loved it.
Good.
And we saw and the thing is too, and I think I even told you this, you didn't stop being Tyler.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I was truly authentic.
You're truly authentic. That's truly your personality. That's truly who you are off the platform. That's truly your personality and your sense of humor. Because you do have a sense of humor.
A little bit. No, I'm not that funny.
Yeah, and but you're funny in your own way, which is good because
Yes.
it doesn't come off like, oh, this guy's just trying to be funny.
I'm not trying to be class clown.
Right, exactly. No. So overall, dude, I give it a thumbs up. It was really
Thanks,
good,
bro.
and I think a lot of people needed to hear that because, again, sometimes because we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, we kind of forget the small practical things that Christians should be doing.
Yeah, service takes a back seat.
100%. And because we get caught up in our day-to-day affairs with work and school and the side hustles and this and that, relationships and cultivating your friendships, and you all get caught up in all those things. But it was a great reminder.
So if any of you want to see it, it's on Proclaim's website or on our YouTube.
Let's go, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna put those links on.
On
the YouTube.
This is not a self plug, I promise.
Yeah.
I have no idea when next time I'm going to preach this. So
I'll definitely put the links on the YouTube.
I'm gonna be. Oh, and there was a. I don't know if anyone noticed or picked it up. Each one of the points I had.
Yeah.
You know how I was talking about like past, present, future, the underlying theme.
Yeah.
Each point was past, present, and future. So I kind of, even in the message, mimicked the story of Jesus washing his disciples' feet. For those of you who weren't there, shame on you. I'm kidding. No. I didn't tell a lot of people about it, but yeah, it's past, present, future. So it kind of all flowed together seamlessly. So it was definitely a lesson from God, because a lot of that I would have not come up with on my own. Right. 100%.
Now you mentioned the washing of the feet. How significant is that illustration in the Bible when it speaks on the washing of the feet? How significant is that for the new believer that may be listening right now and is new to the faith and oh my God, what is washing the feet? What is that? Why is it so symbolic, or how is it so significant?
Yeah, good question. So the reason the washing the feet is so symbolic is because back in the times of Christ, when you would travel someplace, it was customary for either someone who is a slave or someone who is of the lowest social status to wash the feet of the people who attended whatever you were going to. And of course, this night was Passover. They were, of course, they were Jewish, so they were celebrating Passover.
Right.
And so the washing the feet was meant for people only of the lowest class to do. Mm-hmm. And so, they were, Jesus said it himself in the story where he's like, hey, you guys call me teacher, you guys call me this, you guys call me that, you call me Lord. But what I'm doing is because the funny thing is to wash someone's feet, because when they walked around, they were walking around everywhere. There was donkey poop, camel poo. It was pretty grimy. It was pretty grimy. You basically were dirty from the waist down. You just were that way. That's just the way that things were at the time. And so the washing the feet was to get them ready to enter the house, to keep them clean, part of the Jewish mindset of always being clean before God type of thing. And so, but like I said, the person who washed the feet was always the person of the lowest class, whether that's a slave or someone who's not that important. You always wash the feet of the most important people, not the important people washing the feet of people who don't really matter that much.
Right.
And so with Jesus being the one who's
countercultural,
of course, it's just how Jesus rolled. Yeah. But him being the teacher, him being this very, very important person. Of course, we know hindsight 2020.
Right.
But being this super important person for him to literally derobe himself, take his clothes off, so be almost. At the time, it's debated whether he was actually fully naked or he had a little thing. It's I think he was fully naked, not because I want to be that way, but because when you derobe, in the Bible it says derobe, you've taken everything off. Everyone sees everything.
Right.
And then he went around and washed all of his disciples' feet in a sight of service, right?
Yeah.
It's not, he wasn't a slave, but he wasn't a servant, but he was doing a servant's position or a servant's task, if you will, to show them, hey, this is how I want you all to live out your lives. And the funny part is, and I didn't really touch on it in the sermon, I don't think, because I was trying to get to another point, but he even washed Judas's feet. And Judas is the one who he knew.
You did mention that.
He knew he was being betrayed.
You did mention that.
Okay, good. Yeah. Sometimes when you preach, you don't realize. Wait, I did say that. I said that. I don't remember.
You did say that.
But he even washed Judas's feet, the man who would betray him. And I think washing the feet of people who you love and people who you know are going to betray you. Right? The Bible says, "Love your enemies," which is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Right.
Jesus lived it out.
Yeah.
Being countercultural, living out, showing them, hey, this is how you really should be living life.
Yeah.
You really should be serving others from a position, no matter what position you are in. If you are the leader, you should be the servant.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that is it's a great lesson for new believers and even older believers to kind of remember, hey, Jesus is the one who did this. So you're never too big to take out. I always joke with another pastor. I was like, yeah, bro, you're not too important to take out the trash.
Right.
You can preach from the platform, but are you gonna mop the floors at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Are you gonna,
if need be,
Yes, but that's the mentality.
There's a lot in today's culture. There's a lot of green room pastors.
Oh yeah.
Oops, did I say that?
Oh, did I say that out loud? Yes, we did. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a lot of green room pastors that are very known in America. And I'm not even talking about Miami, Florida, or anywhere in Florida. I'm talking about in America. Like in America, there's this little movement, and I say little in a very sarcastic way, that there's these pastors who are of influence and have a huge following, and for the most part, most of them are good preachers. Others are good motivational speakers, but they carry this way. The way they carry themselves at times seems to be Hollywood. They may come off like, oh, they're going a bit Hollywood, you know. And then I would hear these stories from ex church members who are dubbed defectors of certain mega churches, who talk about certain pastors who are a certain way off platform in the green rooms. These green room conversations that are leaked, these green room behaviors from leaders and pastors are leaked, and it's like they kind of unveil this picture to the masses to see what really does happen in these so-called green rooms from these mega churches, from these pastors and stuff like that. And that's not what Jesus embodied. Jesus literally said otherwise. It's like, hey, I came here to not be a ruler, be your king, be this warrior that you guys wanted me to be, but I came here riding it on a donkey, bro. Mm-hmm. And I'm washing your feet. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Which, fun fact, again, I will die on this hill. I believe the disciples were all teenagers. Mm-hmm. So for a grown man to wash teenagers' feet was not something that they did in their culture.
In the biblical,
that was just not a thing.
Yeah,
there was nothing. If you want to know why I think that, DM me.
Yeah.
Text me.
But it was an amazing sermon. I loved it. Great reminders. Reminder for you guys to just kind of, if you guys are trying to get into a groove this 2024, and you want to get into a nice flowy trajectory as to where you want to be at in your faith walk, the goals that you want to set, the goals that you want to accomplish on 202024.
Don't make resolutions, make declarations.
I was just going to say that. Make that declaration and keep pushing forward. Take it one day at a time. I know that I am, because I do struggle with sustaining a resolution, because you typically fall out of it because you get discouraged, because life happens. But if you make that declaration, and if you write it down, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, write those down. And I'm being more intentional with writing stuff down, with journaling, writing my prayers down. I think that's one thing that I am definitely doing in 2024 that I didn't subscribe to in 2023, is literally being more intentional and staying committed with writing down your prayers, journaling as you read your word. For those that are struggling with getting into the word, that may be your declaration today, is to declare that I am going to read the word on a daily basis as much as I can, when I can. And if I can't, and if I don't have the time, make the time. That's what intentionality is all about, making the time to get into the word, to be the body, be a functional part of the body. And when I say body, I'm talking about the body of Christ. We all have a function. We all have a role to play in the body. And if you don't know your role, plug in. Get involved with other people that can probably steer you in the direction where you can find your role. And I guarantee you that you will be able to find your role when you get plugged into the right community, with the right people, with the right church, etc., etc. And so that's an encouraging word for those that are listening and stuff like that. And boy, we have a show today.
Boy, do we! We haven't even gotten started.
Yeah, but for those who happen to be new and just happen to browse and fall on this show,
we welcome you.
This is Kingdom Talks, and to be honest with you, in full transparency, this show literally exists because we want to empower, equip, encourage, and inspire you to live a life that not only blesses you and others around you, but blesses God. Mm-hmm. This is why this show exists, to literally do that. So I hope that these conversations that we have will encourage you to have more conversations about the topics that we are going to discuss. And where do you want to start, man?
Bro, you gave us this full list. I'm like, how are we squeezing into the 2 hours?
Well, the thing is, like, being that we're the show that we discuss faith, but we also discuss trending topics. The news cycle was booming this past week between Jeffrey Epstein, between Katt Williams,
Elon Musk. So much to do.
And then I read this article on the.
Are you talking about the Switzerland thing?
Yeah, the Switzerland thing.
Dang, yeah.
They call it I can't even pronounce it.
Assisted suicide pod?
Yeah.
The euthanasia pod?
The euthanasia.
Euthanasia? I'm going to make fun of for that, aren't I?
Yeah, euthanasia or something like that.
Yeah, basically I want to end my life, so please just put me in a pod so I can die.
Now here's the funny thing about that. Since we could start with that, I guess.
Let's start something cheery for 2024.
Yeah,
that's suicide.
We're gonna kind of talk this part out, just get it out of the way, because I don't want to end the show with this.
Yeah, but it's a terrible way to.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to end the show with that. But this has been developing since 2021. I did a little bit of research on it, and some of the doctors and specialists and experts have been designing, cultivating, procuring all these things that are essentially making this pod for people who want to go bye-bye and want to delete themselves because of an ailment, because of a terminal ailment. However, the controversy about this is, or the controversial statements that have been made along the way before it actually got approved early last year, I want to say, that you don't necessarily have to be terminal. And
you can just delete yourself.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be terminal. You don't necessarily have to have a mental health issue or anything like that. And that's what I feel. And we may be wrong. They may come out tomorrow with a brand new statement and say, no, that's not where we're going to go. This is going to be for terminal illnesses and ailments and et cetera, or for cancer patients, whatever the case may be. But for right now, that's not to be the case. And for me, being a Christian, or for us, I should say, being Christians.
Thank you. I'm not a Satanist.
Here on the pod, and for those that are listening that do subscribe to Christianity and do call yourselves believers, it should be troubling to you. It was very uncomfortable reading that article, and the implications are very clear that this is for anyone and anybody that is interested in doing that. Mm-hmm. And that was troubling for me. And so it did kind of stir my faith a little bit and really stop me on my tracks. And I just really wanted to pray, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's terrifying because it's becoming. I mean, because it came out a while ago that Canada's doctors were also. It's like there could be nothing wrong. It's like, hey, have you thought about suicide? Have you thought about like ending your own life? Mm-hmm. Switzerland doing this thing,
euthanizing though. They don't use that word though. They don't use that word.
No,
loosely.
Of course not, because it's negative
I think
connotation.
it's called euthanization. If I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I think you did a good job.
Euthanizing yourself or going into these euthanizing pods. It's very uncomfortable though.
It is extremely uncomfortable, and it's kind of like you almost don't even know what to say after that, because it's like, almost in a weird way. Mm-hmm. It's like, because Caleb Belfort and I, shout out to Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb Belfort and I, many times, whenever we talk about ministry and ask people, are you ready for ministry? Is we give them the scenario of like, are you ready for the 3 a.m. phone call? Where you get a phone call it's a hypothetical situation that's usually actually not hypothetical. You get a phone call at 3 a.m. of someone saying, hey, I have a gun to my head. You are the last thing I have to be able to give me reason to live. What do you say to them? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, yes, that's dramatic, but it's also, that's happened before.
That's been someone's reality.
At some point. And it's so sad that there are people who are at a point where they think the only way forward, or not the only way forward, essentially, is to remove themselves from this earth, right. to take God out of the equation and end their existence selfishly.
Right.
And I use those words very specifically. I don't mean to be mean about it. Mm-hmm. I could get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but it really is you taking God out of the seat of power and you putting yourself and eliminating a life that could be doing so much more and so much good in the world.
Right.
But you are becoming God by you making the decision of ending your life when you want to.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, that is pretty selfish. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, Brian Welch, the tattooed Jesus-looking guy, who was the guitar, well, I don't think he is still. I don't know if he's still there, but he used to play guitar for Korn.
Oh, right. Yes,
yeah. He became a Christian.
Yeah, he did.
He became a Christian. Toured, did some tours with one of my favorite bands, Red. But really just deeply religious guy. And when back when Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park,
Linkin Park.
No,
that's Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Linkin Park.
Got my bands confused. My bad.
Linkin Park.
Yeah.
When I remember he kind of got in some hot water by saying like, "Oh, why would you say that Chester is selfish?" But then when he kind of explained it, it was like, okay, that makes a little more sense now. Yeah. And that's kind of and I kind of agree with that, where it's like, by you taking your own life, and by asking, also in a weird way, by asking someone else to take your life, you're giving them this power, but you, in a weird way, you also kind of trying to avoid the responsibility of that. Right. But it's just dark any which way you go about it. It's not of God at all, because God would not tell you to go kill yourself. Right. Sorry, that's just not something God would do.
Right. Yeah, God created you on purpose, for a purpose, and therefore, if he would say that, it would be hypocritical of him to say that. And as we know, God doesn't lie, is not a hypocrite.
He would not come to die for you you to kill yourself.
Correct.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I actually was fascinated by the article. Now, the article did come out stating that you would the requirements. I think I pulled it up here. Let's see. Created as a way to carry out assisted suicide, the pod was invented by Dr. Philip Nitschke, a I can't even pronounce that word. Euthanization advocate.
Self-deleting advocate. Let's just say that.
Self-deleting advocate who told the Daily Mail, quote, "We're ready to use it. We're talking to a number of people who are wanting to be the first to use it," unquote. However, pro-life groups have warned that the 3D printed sarcopods, glamorized as, quote, suicide pods. James Mildred, director of engagement at CARE, said, quote, "Suicide is a tragedy that good societies seek to prevent in every circumstance. There are ethical ways to help human beings that don't involve the destruction of life," unquote. And I would have to, sit there and agree with that statement, because I think with modern science being so advanced, and we've come such a long way in modern science, in medical science, even, that we come so far in advancements of that there is other alternatives to deal with mental health illnesses.
Yes, because it's all mental health.
Right, mental health illnesses with cancer patients, with terminal illnesses. I mean, there is so many different alternatives than this self-deletion to kind of approach those quote unquote ailments and stuff like that. So it's really very hyperbolic that a doctor with a group of people will design and develop.
I mean,
this
they're breaking their own oath, because when a doctor takes an oath, they take the Hippocratic oath, where it's like a doctor will do no harm.
Right.
They take that. Fun fact: death is harm.
Yeah. But then,
newsflash.
But then me looking at it in a spiritual lens, right? Me as a believer looking at society, right? I'm like, wow, like it's like it seems like every other year it seems like that wickedness and evil is rearing its ugly head more and more.
It's becoming evil is no longer sheltering itself. It's literally out in the open for everyone to see, and unfortunately, we just allow it to happen.
Yeah. And the reason why we allow it to happen is because specifically Christians usually we're just specialists at keeping our mouths shut. You know, we're
the specialists at silence.
They're very silent, and then we allow other cultures and other narratives to silence us, and we abide by that. And I think that if we could just take a little snippet of a page off of other religions' book, where they're very, upfront about the religion, and they're very protective of their religion. And if you see, how dare you be anti this because we're gonna get you. Like Christianity, they don't have that approach. And I know that sometimes
I think we've been shafted. Forget my language. I think we've been shafted on that for so long. Because because here's the thing. I think we were in some ways are still like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's because a lot of people in the modern age have been beaten down time and time again.
Right.
That they have this, forget my language, illusion.
Right.
That they really have no voice, and that they are not allowed to speak in that particular way.
Yeah.
I think that's it troubles me sometimes how silent we are at all the evils of the world. Yeah. When we should be out in front shouting. And I'm sorry, as Christians, there's nothing in the Bible that says that we need to be nice.
Right.
Right. Yes, we serve others. Yes, we love others. But that also doesn't allow us or give us the permission to do nothing at all.
Right, right.
And in fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's like if we see something that's wrong,
mm-hmm.
we should do something about it.
Correct.
Like we really should go out of our way to help people.
At least at the bare minimum, have a conversation.
The bare minimum.
Yeah.
But stand up for something.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Christians in America are too comfortable.
Yeah.
It is. It's true. We've talked about it on this podcast before.
Yeah. They're too comfortable. We're too complacent.
And so then when things happen, we're just like, oh yeah, it's just another crazy thing.
Yeah. Because we become so desensitized with a lot of crap that happens around the world and even around this country that it's like, oh, again, wow, let's pray for him. Hashtag XYZ. And everything now just becomes a hashtag. But I think that if you are going to be impactful, if you are going to preach the gospel, it has to be more than a hashtag.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be more than a hashtag. And
hashtag has to be more than a hashtag.
Yeah, seriously. Like
where's my Twitter?
We you mean X? Formerly known as Twitter.
For X Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say X Twitter just to cover my bases.
Yeah, right.
Because it's X and Twitter.
Formerly known. But speaking of Twitter, that's another guy that was trending in the news cycle.
I love the fact that man is always trending. I'm sorry. Listen, I do not in any way think that Elon is perfect. I do not think he's the next coming of Christ. Anything like that.
Right.
I love the fact that he is such a free speech absolutist.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm so glad he bought Twitter. That's why I got back on X Twitter.
Right.
Because he bought it.
Yeah.
He bought it. I'm like, yo, I'm in for it.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
So the question that's always asked, and it's always in the comment columns of every social media platform, is why are elitists trying to cancel this guy? Or shut him up.
Because he is allowing the actual truth to come out.
Right.
Because before, here's the thing, no one can ever argue this anymore.
Right, but the argument is, what is truth? Is it objective truth? Is it subjective truth? Or is it the truth that a certain group is pushing.
All right, here we go. We're going to serious now.
Yeah.
You know it's truth when people are trying to silence you.
Wait, say that again?
When you know it's truth when people are trying to silence you. Because even if you look in the Bible, what do they try to do to Jesus? They try to shut him up. They try to kill him. They try to do all this stuff.
Right.
When we are hearing things that they or elitists or whoever you want to put into that category, they're panicking because now we're seeing the sins that they try to keep in the dark. Right? And they got comfortable with being able to do all this without any repercussions. Now, guess what? If there's a crazy story, guess where it's being put on? Not Instagram, not TikTok.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to any mainstream news.
Yeah.
It's going on X Twitter.
Yeah.
Why? Because they won't suppress the story like all these other stories that they try to do for so long. Inserts any number of stories, right? And it always leaned what? They always silenced more so conservative based people and Christians.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem and if you think that's not true, look it up. It's all in the Twitter files.
Yeah.
It's all there. There are so many even like Christian people that were silenced for saying like, hey, Jesus is the only way. Jesus is how this nation can get back to where it needs to be, is through Jesus. And they were either deleted, they were silenced, they were blocked, XYZ. Yeah. So honestly, it's yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did see Elon Musk in some headlines because he does make the headlines. He's the
richest man in the world.
He's the richest man in the world. He's a polarizing individual. Like this guy, he opens his mouth and he says some things that kind of, grab your ear. And
he can be out there.
And you can tune in and he'll say some very fascinating things. And then he'll say what you just said of very left field, out there kind of things. But when I read I think I have it up here. I read, here it is. It says media tries to paint Elon Musk as a drug addict. So so that's one of the headings out there that's floating in social media. That the media is trying to...
you're doing well when the media is trying to assassinate you.
Right.
See, that's how I know it's truth. That's how I know it's because they're working so hard to silence you, right? The devil doesn't want us to be vocal, right? We just talk about Christians being silent.
Yeah.
We need to be vocal because the devil likes it when we're silent.
Check this out. This is what the Wall Street Journal said. It said the Wall Street Journal dropped a lengthy hit piece insinuating that billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has a drug problem, quoting anonymous sources. Of course, it's an anonymous source. Quoting anonymous sources, the article alleges that Musk frequently uses marijuana, cocaine, LSD, and other drugs, psychedelic drugs, and has a prescription of ketamine. First of all, I didn't even know that you can get prescription of ketamine like that. Anyway, it then challenges typical defenses of Musk's provocative behavior, such as that he is stressed, sleep deprived, or simply too creative for most, and suggests instead that he is a substance abuser. So therefore, you can't be a creative, you can't be brilliant, and you can't be a billionaire because all of a sudden you're on all these drugs and you are...
Do you know how many hours of work how many hours a week he works? Do you know?
I don't.
It's anywhere from like 60 to 80 hours a week. He doesn't say that because he's actually a little bit on the spectrum. He is. He's honest about it. He knows.
Yeah.
He'll tell you, but he is so focused and so driven. Like he is like honestly, he's always working. If he's not working, like you can find him playing with his kids. You can find him at SpaceX just hanging out.
And I think Musk was the very first time that he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan asked him about drug use in the past because Joe.
I know he actually like smoked the devil's ganja.
Yeah.
On the pod at one point.
Because Joe Rogan is very open about his past.
Yeah.
About his own past. Like he dabbled in newsflash, guys. If you guys are Joe Rogan stans, he was using drugs back in the day. pretty heavily. Self-admittedly, he self-admits this, that Joe, he got into some stuff. But sources claim that Musk's alleged drug use is not a thing of the past, but an ongoing habit, and they express concerns to the journal that it could affect both his health and his businesses. Additionally, Musk is tied up with multiple government contracts worth billions of dollars, and the journal suggests that federal policies would force those contracts to be terminated if his drug habit became known. His attorneys, Musk's attorneys, Alex Spiro, rejected the said allegations, saying, quote, about his client, quote, regularly and randomly drug tested, is drug tested at SpaceX and has never failed a test, unquote. Spiro also told the Wall Street Journal reporter that their article had many mistakes, but did not offer specifics. Musk also declined to offer comment.
There's a story,
and that's the end of it.
Hold on, wait. There's a story.
Yeah.
That this actually happened where they wanted to see who was faster, greyhounds or a cheetah. Mm-hmm. And so they put a cheetah in the middle of a greyhound race, right? Mm-hmm. But when the doors opened up, all the greyhounds sprinted out, and the cheetahs just sat right in the initial kennel, right? Yeah. It didn't run, and when people got mad, they went to the organizer. They yelled at the organizer, like, "Why didn't the cheetah run?" He goes, "Well, because his response is perfect." He's like, "Listen, sometimes it's just insulting to already prove that sometimes it's insulting to even prove that you already are the best
or the fastest animal on the planet."
Yes, he's that was fast. But it's like to Elon, it's like, okay, this is another hit piece.
Yeah,
it's another Tuesday. When's the next thing coming out?
Right,
right. Good try.
And just like you said, like I feel like this is definitely a reach. This is like a super reach. I feel like
they're getting desperate because, first off, I mean, let's be real. A, they're low key jealous because he's super rich.
Right.
B, he almost is untouchable.
Right.
Like not in like a strange way, but he's like untouchable. He's very public.
Yeah.
He is very vocal.
Yeah.
Right. And he causes a lot of issues. But here's the problem: he's extremely rich. He has a lot of influence.
He has a lot of FU money.
He literally told like in an interview,
it's documented.
Someone asked him, they were like, "Oh, like, do you think this is an apology?" He's like, you try to blackmail with money, go yourself.
Yeah, he said, "Go F yourself."
And then he said hi to Bob Iger
multiple times.
It was great.
Multiple times.
I was like.
And if you guys haven't caught that, guys can Google it and you can see it on the internet that he said
Or just get on X and come join in conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. Most of the time it's just me and my friend Tony just talking bad crap about sports.
Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing. And again, I'm not a Elon Musk apologist. I'm not a huge fan of Elon Musk. I think he's a brilliant guy. Obviously, you have to be doing something right for you to have this empire. That
again, thank you for SpaceX.
Yeah,
Elon. Thank you.
Thank you for SpaceX. I think that's pretty dope and very innovative, very forward thinking. I'm me as a content creator and as a forward thinker, and I give props to those that paved the way in that space. Where, bro, we have to be forward thinkers in today's age. Like we have to step out of our comfort zones. We have to think outside of the box in order for us to be successful in any space, whether it be in the business space, in the entrepreneurial space, in the music space, in the entertainment space, in any space. You have to we're living in a time and place where we have to think outside the box because everybody is doing the same thing, it seems. We have to do something different in order to stand out, in order to reach the masses, in order to reach your core audience. So I think that his delivery, his stands on certain things and on certain societal issues are valid. There's validity in there.
Here's the thing. He's very open. He's like, look, he even admitted, not to get political, but he's like, I always voted one way. He's like, I always used to vote one way. Now it's like, I am seeing things.
Right.
And people are paying attention to that too.
And I think in America too, dude, like America has a way to painting this picture oh, he's a billionaire. Oh, he has money. Oh, he's doing this. He's doing that. He must be in the cabal, or he must be in some weird stuff. They always want to, like, you can't be rich and a billionaire and have power because all of a sudden you're deemed a wicked terrorist or a wicked pedophile behind closed doors. And although there are instances like Jeffrey Epstein, for example, he was no saint and no angel because a lot of stuff came out when
stuff straight demonic.
Yeah, it was straight demonic stuff, and pedophilia is obviously a real thing, and it's not a American problem; it's a global problem. If those who haven't watched Sound of Freedom, do yourself a favor, watch Sound of Freedom. It'll definitely educate you as what is going on globally when it comes to trafficking, not just humans, but trafficking children.
Yeah. Fun fact, Sound of Freedom officially has made more money than Taylor Swift's Eras tour.
Yes, I did see that online.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's not being reported anywhere.
Yeah, but it's definitely raising awareness in a global scale.
In a very global scale. It's no longer just a whisper behind closed doors.
Right.
Now it is a public and open conversation, which it definitely should be.
Right.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. It shouldn't be.
Right.
Because we don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
But because now it's such an issue, and because so many people are now involved, and not that we didn't know, but we knew at some point. But now it's kind of more just like, all right, like it's kind of like the Twitter files, right? Where it's like people knew what was happening beforehand, but now this is just like more confirmation. Yep.
And the documents that were leaked, the dozens of names in this quote Jeffrey Epstein documents, are now public. That was a big trendy thing over the weekend.
But also I think this is. I mean, I think back to some other tumultuous times back in even recent history.
Right.
It's kind of where, all right, let's slow it down a little bit, because it's like, all right, just because there's names in it doesn't mean that they're actually involved with it, right? Like there's a couple of the sheriff's office is calling me.
Oh, that's probably
it's probably the missing person.
The missing person thing.
Yeah. Hello.
And while you do that, I'm gonna pull up the article. Yep, I got the text because they'll send you a text.
Yeah, I got the text too. I was wondering when I was going to get the phone call.
Yeah.
Where was I at? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the names.
So the names. So it's like, okay, and I'm not talking about any one particular person, because it's like, yes, there were so many names.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember, like, these people were around other very powerful people because they're around other powerful people.
Right.
Right. I don't mean to do this left turn, but like it's kind of like big name pastors, right? Certain big name pastors are associated with other big name pastors because they all kind of are in the same
space
realm, if you will, right? Like, and I already know there's some pastors who have never met before, where it's like, oh, like we'll say certain names or whatever, but those pastors have never met before in their lives.
Yeah.
And
or probably met once.
Maybe at some point they were at like some sort of get together. They had a picture taken, but like they've never had a really serious conversation, or they've met on the fly a bunch of times, right? Like I wouldn't associate like a super big name pastor in like Texas with like Carl Lentz or Rich Wilkerson. It's like, Lentz and Rich used to be friends, but like maybe someone that Lentz used to run with, like back in the day, you never met Rich. You know what I mean? Just just using examples. But it's like okay, but like what's really going on? This is no defense of anybody. I'm just saying like biblical wisdom needs to win out in the end.
It does. It does have to win out at the end, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we do read these articles and these news headlines about certain prominent figures, especially when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, a lot of Christians are real quick to start being judgy. And it's like, hey, let's like you said, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's pull back and not really try to magnify other people's sin when you're a sinful person as well. Because let's and I'm going to say something that's going to challenge people, and it's probably going to come off that I'm calling people out and I'm being this and I'm being that, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you were in Jeffrey Epstein's position and you were able to procure and do the things that he did to become this entrepreneur, philanthropist and billionaire and had all this power, how would you, how would you move? How would you move, honestly? Because you're only as you're only as faithful as your limitations at times, right? Because if we're going to be true to ourselves, like, what does your private life look like? Sitting here on your own. Mm-hmm. How does your private life look like? How does your life behind closed doors look like? How does your life off the platform look like? How does your browser look like? Yeah. How does your internet browser look like? Show me your browser history. Show me your browser. Show me your DMs. How do those things look like? Show me your group chats that you're in. Show me how that looks like. Because a lot of Christians I'm challenging you guys. I'm not trying to be this high and mighty Christian, because I don't have it all together, and I fall short just the same as the next person.
Here.
You know what I mean? However, we're so quick to judge these people, where we are to be a light in that dark narrative, because the Jeffrey Epstein from its inception is a very dark narrative. Even before he went bye-bye and no longer on his earth, it was a very, very dark narrative, a very dark story from its inception. For those that saw the Jeffrey Epstein documentary, the Netflix specials, you guys know what I'm talking about. Gosh. So, and I don't want to get into all that, but now that we have this new headline to probably distract us from other things that we should be doing, that we have other things better to do, but it's out there, it's trending. I like to cover it. I like to talk about it, but I also like to challenge you guys to lay off on the pile-on. You know what I'm saying? Piling on those that are commenting and putting their 2 cents about the whole ordeal, and the names that are being leaked on these lists. Because, like Tyler said, just because they're on these documents doesn't necessarily mean that they were, participating in the debauchery that was, going on in the private island that was, or the Epstein. No, do they call it the Epstein Island? Is that what they're calling it? The Epstein Island or whatever?
St. John. I don't know. I don't even know what they call it. Yeah, Epstein Island. There we go. We're trying to call it Epstein Island, whatever. But it's like, okay, yes, if this person's implicated in doing something bad, yes, they should be prosecuted. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, things should be handled the proper way. We're not saying that it shouldn't. Go ahead. I don't know where I was going with that one.
But just to give you a little bit of context as to what we're talking about, for those that were living under a rock over the weekend, or was just not paying attention to the headlines, the most recent news article, I have it here, New York AP released, said that the release of dozens of previously sealed court documents from a lawsuit involving Jeffrey Epstein might disappoint online sleuths who anticipated explosive new information. The nearly 200 documents released as of this past Friday, by the way, largely mentioned figures whose names were already known, including high-profile friends. We all know that he was friends with the Clintons, friends with a whole bunch of other people. Epstein's and victims who have spoken publicly. In fact, the judge who made the call last month to release the information said she was doing so largely because much of it is already public. The plan to release the documents had prompted rumors that they contained a list of quote-unquote clients or co-conspirators, and misinformation about their contents is continuing to run rampant on social media. So again, let's pump the brakes, guys. Let's pump the brakes. I mean, yes, Jeffrey Epstein is a very wicked person. He did very wicked things to innocent young adolescents. We get all that. But I think us as Christians, we should have a little bit more grace as to what the documents say, what the narratives are going to be pushed, because it's not our job to fall in line with these narratives and pile on. It's our job to be a light in a dark narrative that is, the Jeffrey Epstein story, which is a very dark, debaucherous, heinous, disgusting thing. And I do condemn that stuff, because no child, teenager, or any young person should be silenced, because there are victims out there.
Retweet.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah. And another prominent figure that had a lot to say about Hollywood and
here we go.
And other
this is what I was waiting for.
Prominent figures is our friend, my friend. He's not my friend, but I do.
How cool would that be, though?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool.
Katt Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Katt Williams
when he busted a cap, he went off on. We were talking about it earlier, where he just said, "You know what? I'm done."
Yeah.
I mean, just utterly.
Yeah.
I just went after everyone and was like, it was one of those like, you would almost like sometimes think like he'd be unhinged. Like, I could definitely tell how they would try to paint him as unhinged.
Right.
But with the truth that he was speaking.
And let me tell you, it didn't take me one sitting to listen to it in its entirety, because it's very lengthy. It's almost 3 hours. So it took me almost the entire weekend to...
There was so much in there. Oh my gosh.
Bro, I started watching the podcast. And by the way, for those that don't know what we're talking about, it's Katt Williams. He was on the Shannon Sharp Club Shay Shay podcast show. And it wasn't an interview. Even Shannon Sharp said that this wasn't an interview, because he doesn't consider himself a media journalist. This is more...
Even though he does actually a pretty decent job of it.
Correct. But he said that this was more of a conversation, and he wanted to give Katt Williams an opportunity to speak his truth. Because Shannon Sharp had other prominent figures who rubbed elbows along the way throughout the years, especially in Katt Williams' career. The Cedric Entertainers of the world, the Ricky Smileys of the world, the Steve Harveys of the world, and a slew of others. And Katt Williams had a lot to say about these said individuals. And I have some clips, because I'm not going to tell people who don't have the time to listen to a 3-hour conversation. Although I did my homework and I did you guys a favor. You know what I did, guys? You know what I did? Your boy sat here over the weekend and created a couple of clips that hopefully capsulizes the 3-hour conversation that he had with Mr. Shannon Sharp. So we're going to listen to a couple of these clips. One clip is about 1 minute and 50 seconds. Another clip's about just under a minute. And then I got 2 more clips that are just at 2 minutes. And hopefully this will give you a capsulization as to where these conversations were had, because he did.
I'm taking bets myself.
Yeah.
Which parts you're gonna let us listen to.
So
because he dropped one name, and I'm saving it to the end before I drop the name.
Okay.
I think you might know which name I'm talking about. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But
all right.
I'll drop the name if you didn't get that part.
He was really going in on Steve Harvey, so I think that was.
But there was another name that we've said on this podcast before.
Oh, TD Jakes.
Yeah. Dang it, bro. I was saving that bullet for the end.
Yeah. But we could get into that. But here's let's see if I have my volume up. Okay, and how are we in time? We're good with time, right? Yeah, we're good with time.
I mean, we're just under an hour, so I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
I think we're Gucci.
All right, here we go. So this is Katt Williams talking about exposing the quote-unquote industry. People call it the industry. People call it the entertainment industry, Hollywood, whatever you call it. We're just broadly stroking here. We're going to call it the
client list.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to call it the industry, okay?
The industry.
They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. I can't do that because Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in, and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part.
No, okay. And
you gotta believe that part.
So I, as the nerd that I am and the content creator and podcaster that I am, I went on the internet. I went on Google and I wanted to know what he meant by that. So apparently I found a couple articles and Katt Williams has been saying this forever, that when Bernie Mac was alive, God rest his soul, R.I.P. Bernie, my favorite comedian, by the way. When Bernie was alive, Steve Harvey was friends with him when Steve Harvey had a sitcom show. I don't know if this is dating you because you're a little younger than I am.
True. Yeah, true.
When the Kings of Comedy came out, remember the Kings of Comedy?
I do, actually.
Okay, so when the Kings of Comedy came out, it was a huge spectacle because it was Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley. At the time, in 1999, 2000, they were the biggest comedians in urban culture, right? Yeah. And they did so well that they cross over to American culture, if you will. All right? White America, if you will. And I say that respectfully. So Katt Williams said that the reason why Steve Harvey called these executives that were involved in the Ocean 11 movie, I'm sure you remember Ocean's 11. And I remember
Pretty good movie.
In the first installment of Ocean's 11, Bernie Mac had a small role in there. Mm-hmm. That turned into a pretty decent role. Like, he just didn't have a cameo role. Like, Bernie Mac was in a pretty decent role. And that was a huge W for Bernie because Bernie came from urban culture. Yeah. He came from the improv scene, and he broke through the back way, not the traditional way, if you will, right?
Yeah.
I come to find out that Steve Harvey, and this is documented, guys, so this is not nothing that Katt Williams is making up. This is documented, that Steve Harvey called these said executives and said, hey, I will take less money if you give me the role that Bernie is giving me.
Shut up.
So the reason why Bernie and Steve Harvey had a fallout wasn't because, because of money and because of, indifferences or whatever the case may be. It was because Bernie Mac found out that Steve Harvey made that call. So when Bernie Mac died, the reason why Steve Harvey till this day cries and gets emotional is because he was robbed of the opportunity to reconcile with Bernie and hash things out. That's the reason why Steve Harvey till this day, when he talks about Bernie, he gets emotional, cries, is because he never had the opportunity to reconcile with Bernie Mac and say his I'm sorries or tell his side of the story. Because Bernie Mac was forever, until the day he died, mad and angry at his so-called best friend that he even did that. So that's what Katt Williams off the gate exposed. Oh, and it gets better, bro.
Well, I know it gets better.
It gets better. Let's see. And so here's another clip.
Everybody was Katt Williams, and don't nobody know who he is. I'm on the radio. I'm with Steve and Said. Everybody know me. That's what he told everybody that would listen to on the set. That's the truth of the matter. He was so egregious, not now. Then he was so egregious that, and Hollywood has never heard this in 100 years. He was so egregious, I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it?
Yes,
you bet he did. It's in my contract.
Why would you put that in your contract, Katt?
That's where he's a believable actor. Him and Tyler Perry can't play a man to save their life. They play good women, and I believe that the best actor should be in the best role.
So that's why, because when we released that clip and he said that, you responded because he said he was supposed to play Money Mike and you were supposed to play Santa Claus.
An outright lie.
So
That he knows is a lie.
So why would he say it?
Because he's a liar. Nobody knows why liars lie. And that's why I had to come on the program.
Yep. So listen to. So here's another point that I'm going to make real quick. This pod came out literally over the weekend. It was aired on Friday, and then it gave everybody an opportunity to listen to it over the weekend. I subscribed to it. I listened to it over the weekend. It took me a couple of tries because again, it's very lengthy. But since it's released, think about it, Tyler. Since it's released, he named prominent Hollywood comedians, actors, and millionaires.
Yeah.
And not one of them, not a single one. And today happens to be Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, yeah. Sorry.
Not a single one has come out and spoken their truth.
Suspicious.
And they can't. And right now, their defense about Katt Williams being on drugs, not coherent, being out there, he's a loony. In that interview, you will not hear that in his voice. You will not see that in his face.
No.
He looks well collected. He looks very coherent.
Calm.
He looks very calm, and he looks like a man that wants to speak.
In his body
the truth.
language.
Yeah, his body language, bro. His body
Which,
language.
by the way, if you watch the video, Katt's like not on the edge of the seat, but he's very up on the seat.
Yeah.
And when he gets passionate, what's his face? He's actually like folding back and is trying to like lean back more, like, oh my gosh, like what do you like?
Right.
You see it in the body. I'm
Right.
at a small clip on my
Right.
phone. Which, by the way, I found this one funny. This one person on Twitter was just like Katt Williams leaving that interview, spilling the tea on the whole industry, and it's the clip from not the Dark Knight. But one of the Batman, the one with Heath Ledger. As
Oh,
Joker,
yeah, as a
walking
Joker.
around and the hospital's exploding.
As the hospital's exploding.
I'm like, yo, that is so perfect.
But that's so accurate.
Yes.
Because he literally dropped a bomb, bro. Like
he dropped so many bombs.
Yeah.
It was
so the name that you wanted to share, TD Jakes. Katt Williams speaks in a very libertarian way when it comes to faith and God. He speaks in liberties that I can't speak. Although I don't know where his walk is. In that interview, he does identify as a God-fearing man, and he does name his God being Jesus. He does share his story. He doesn't just go in on the industry. He doesn't just go in on these prominent figures. He does share a good chunk of his story. At age 12, he decided that he needed to up and leave and do something about his life. At age 13, he uproots from his home, Ohio, and lands in Florida and does things that a normal 13-year-old doesn't do. It's documented that he was in the school of what is that? What are those schools called for young brilliant people? Man, it's escaping me right now. But so he was very brilliant, very smart as a kid. He self-admitted to reading rather than reading comic books like other children were doing. He would read a dictionary. And he would read encyclopedias, and he would read nonfiction books. And the most important book that he says it in the interview, that he claims that the greatest book of all time is the Holy Bible. So we're going to give him an applause for that, a real applause.
Yeah, the Bible wins again.
The Bible wins again. But the TD Jakes, your take on that?
Somehow I wasn't surprised when that name came out of his mouth.
Okay.
Somehow I was not surprised. He said it. Now, granted, he did say a lot in that interview, and it took me a while. Like, I didn't see the whole thing. I'm just gonna be upfront. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was seeing a lot of clips on
social media.
and so I was going through as much as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And when he dropped TD Jakes, I was kind of like, yeah. I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those like but then hearing someone else say it in a different way makes you go, oh.
Right.
And I think that was kind of.
Do you think that'll sway the congregation a certain way?
No, his congregation,
or just the capital C church in general.
But, to be honest, most Christians probably won't even listen to this interview or hear anything about it. I'm gonna be real. Now,
why would you say that? Because I kind of disagree on that.
Now, the only reason I say that is because, yes, a lot of people our age, whatever, we're hearing about
I believe our age demographic, Christian demographic, our age, has listened to this.
No, 100%. And I think that's definitely going to kind of make people go,
Yeah.
Of course, he has his apologetics.
Right.
Which everyone does. Everyone does. I have my own.
Yeah.
I also have people who absolutely hate my guts, so I get it.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, it may not actually do much because TJX was already kind of a controversial figure to begin with. So I think this kind of just adds a little bit more icing on that cake, if you will. So do I think it's going to be overall change? No. Which is why I kind of say that like most people won't even hear this interview because I think like someone's going to tell them, they'll be like, oh yeah.
I think people will consume this interview in Instagram clips.
100%.
And YouTube shorts, and Twitter feeds. I think people are going to listen, and that's why I push back on that statement that you said. And it's okay for me to disagress with you.
No,
so guys, we're still friends, okay, guys? We're not enemies here. We're not.
I'm never coming to this podcast ever again. My feelings are hurt.
He's not gonna not come back to the podcast.
I'm just gonna sit here and just spam on the social media.
But I do disagree with that, Tyler. And the reason why is because we live in a society where. Yeah, we do have so many options in how we consume content. And some people may not sit down, like myself, and dedicate a day or two to, because it took me 2 days. If I'm going to be completely honest, it took me 2 days. The reason why I even was chomping at the bit was because, oh my gosh, this is great content for me to talk about and for me to react to it. So that's why I did my due diligence and listened to it in its entirety. I didn't do it, though, in one sitting. It's impossible to do it in one sitting because, again, it's 3 flipping hours. It's almost 3 hours. So some people are going to.
I could watch Lord of the Rings instead.
Right, exactly. Or you can do this, or you could do that. Everybody. You
can listen to this podcast and share it with your friends.
Correct. And so, how people digest this stuff or consume this stuff, I think they are going to hear a lot of what Katt Williams had to say. I have 2 more clips and then we're going to end it there and then we'll move on to the next topic, okay? So I've got 2 more clips here.
It takes the saliva of nice ladies on that. But yeah, that's all I do. That's just that.
Do you consider yourself a king of comedy? Where the Katt?
No, they consider that. Like when after Bernie left, them same 3 guys I'm telling you about, the kings, right? Because DL is the greatest. Yeah. There's no DL slander gets tolerated. But they came to me. I was supposed to be the 4th king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth.
He's talking about Steve Harvey.
Steve's tour. Not it was going to be called the Kings of Comedy. It was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. Of course, you got to close if it's your tour. That's why it was such a big deal. But you couldn't do it because you can't beat the best. And until you humble yourself, you will forever be kinged by the king. And because you finally did it, because you had no other choice, and now that he gone, you gonna act like he wanted to be a movie star. You stop it. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here. Get out of here. Get your ego out of this. You let the best be the best. Right?
Katt Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
So, yeah, he was talking about...
Yeah, let me try to shut that down so quick.
Yeah.
Katt Williams, everybody.
Katt Williams, everybody. Okay, last clip, and then we'll end it.
Received the full at 12. You received the full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio, but you failed, so you couldn't become. So you would become ineligible. Why didn't you want to take that opportunity?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined the gang and you get a big homie, right? Like at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
That it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story of Jesus, and that I'm supposed to be like him.
Okay.
So it's already in my head that as soon as I get 13, I'm leaving.
You at 13, you don't only like, okay, Mom, I'm moving out. You moved from Ohio to Florida on your own.
At 13, bro.
You weren't afraid. I mean, you like, did you?
Hold on.
So what were you gonna do when you got to Florida?
Don't say I wasn't afraid. There's no such thing as a human being of not being afraid.
Okay.
There are certain human beings that understand that being afraid in no way stops you from doing what you got to do.
Okay.
So I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that I didn't have any bad intentions in it.
Right.
So I trusted God that it would work out.
Look at that. And I want to carry that conversation because a lot of us don't really put our trust in God to do some of the things that we want to do because of fear, because of possibly being scared or afraid. Katt Williams said he was afraid. That there's no such thing as a human being that is not afraid to take a leap of faith, essentially is what he's talking about. He took a leap of faith to leave his house, his city as a young teenager and search for his dreams. Go after his dreams because he knew that he was created for bigger. And he said that his big homie was Jesus, and that the greatest book alive was the Bible.
That's awesome.
And he said that because of the life that Jesus led, encouraged him and stirred his faith up, and made that declaration that, man, I may be 13 years old, but Jesus got me, and I'm not going to be afraid.
Amen.
So I just kind of want to, just kind of touch down here for a second, because I know that people right now in 2024 are still a little bit afraid and are still carrying their insecurities and their fears from 2023. And they're still carrying that. And if I'm going to be transparent, I'm a little scared, I don't know where this podcast is going. I don't know where my life outside of this podcast is going, if I'm going to be honest. But what I do know is that at the end of the day, God is not going to forsake me. He's not going to leave me. He's not going to leave me for dead. He's not going to give up on me. And he has abundant grace, infinite love, and patience that I can't even fathom. He has so much patience with his children that I just don't understand why. And I don't think that we're called to logically in our simple human minds to even understand that. I don't think we're called to understand that. It's just that he has patience for us. I mean, we led some lives in the past to look back on and say, wow, he really did have some patience with me. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's it. I was waiting for you to finish.
I've just been drinking water all day because I'm on this fast. We're doing this 21-day fast thing on our church.
Well, us too.
And I'm struggling, bro. So I'm just suppressing the hunger pains with water. I'm going to literally get up and pee in a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of got to do that too. It's fine. No, you're right. It's... Heck, I'm gonna quote myself. There's a reason your windshield is bigger than your rear view mirror. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, like where you going, you may not necessarily see the end of the road. You may not necessarily see the highways and everything else like right now. But man, you just have so much more ahead of you. Yeah, so much more ahead of you. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm not gonna say too much because I already preached all that. Go check it out. Yeah. What's the next topic? We're professional.
I just wanted to touch on being fearless. I think fearless is the the theme that I'm choosing for my declaration of 2024 is fearless. I want to have a fearless year.
Did you put that in your thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't read anybody's. Yeah. So okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I want to encourage and kind of let people know that, hey, if you don't have a declaration, I would urge you to be fearless this year, to not allow your sorrows overwhelm you and define you and give you a narrative that is not from God. You know, sorrow looks back, worry looks around, while faith looks up. You know what I'm saying? So look up, challenge yourself, have people around you that'll challenge you, not necessarily call you out, but call you up. And I feel that I have those right people around me that are not going to call me out. I got Tyler that's going to call me up and say, hey, Hav, you know, XYZ.
Step up, bro.
Step up. Let's do this. Let's do that. What about this? What about that? You know, I think that when you have those right people around you, I think it'll put you in line or in alignment with God's will. And I wanted to, you know, touch on what, because it's the number one or one of the top searches on Google is, what is God's will for my life? Why was I put here on earth? And I think if you want to get really, you know, practical, God's will for you is to be like Jesus. Mm-hmm. Start there, you know, be a image bearer of Christ, be a servant leader, you know, preach the gospel. How are you sharing the gospel with your coworkers? Are you even taking the opportunity to do that? That is God's will for your life. If you start there, then you'll be looking at more specific, you know, assignments. Mm-hmm. Because God will give you an assignment.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But you have to start there first. And I'm not a pastor. I'm not a minister. I'm sitting next to one that's going to be a great pastor, is a great pastor. Would you say that that's where you start if you're looking to see what God's will is for you?
Yeah, because how can you get to know somebody without getting to know them?
Right.
Like, you want to, it's like, you know, it's like, man, I really want to get to know the person. Okay, well then, are you communicating with them? Right. Are you hanging out with them? Are you spending time with them? How well do you actually know this person? Right. Do you truly know God? Like, right. How much, I mean, we've talked about in this podcast before, how much time are you spending with God? Right. Honestly, how much time and investment you put with God can reflect how you see your life. Wow. Right? Because there were plenty of times where I know my life has sucked and I was like, no, I'm just going through rough patches. Like, no, because I know I wasn't as close to God as I needed to be.
Right.
I knew that, but I chose not to continuously chase him every day. I chose to ignore him when I woke up, when I went to bed. I chose to do it. Even though I knew that he existed, and I can know that, but I didn't know him the way I needed to be able to help me figure out where I was going. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we do put these like weird blinders on when we kind of are like, oh look, well, like, you know, yes, we have a calling in our lives.
Right.
We may have many assignments,
right,
that we have in our lifetime, and those assignments can change.
Right.
But we all have one calling. We
right.
all have one calling. Even though, like, yes, you know, I feel called that I should be a pastor. You feel called to, you know, do this. You know, we'll have different assignments, right? But we all have a certain calling to be able to be one with Christ, to be one with God. Right, like there's a reason that's a covenant. Right, there's a reason why that's written, like truly written in blood, because that is something that is stronger than anything that has ever been in all of existence. Right. Nothing's been stronger than that.
Amen.
But we choose to not want to know our Creator, mm-hmm. and then we blame it on everything else, but yourself. But we fall short every time because we choose to think it's everything else but myself. So then when everything else fails and we fall back on what we know, we fall back on only on our knowledge, and so we're going to fail every single time. So yeah, you want to know what God's will is for your life? Start fasting.
That's what I'm doing.
That's what we're doing. Start fasting, start praying, writing stuff down. I mean, to a new believer, and even sometimes to an older believer, it's like some of the stuff is like, like, you know, like, you know, I don't even know if that really kind of does anything. It's like, listen, I used to think all the same things.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Do not knock it till you try it. And actually, do you know who actually kicked my butt into getting back into journaling?
Journaling, yeah.
Roxy.
Oh, wow.
Roxy Pacheco. I love you, girl. You're awesome.
I haven't heard from Roxy in such a long time.
I ran into Joey one day at Publix randomly, and then she was in the car, and so we got the chatting at the car, and then I ran to Joey here at the shop a couple of days later, so it was actually kind of funny. But she said something to me. She's like, I really feel like you need to start journaling again, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really know about. And then a couple of days later, I was like, you know what, maybe I should. And like, no lie, like I started writing. I mean, granted, like I don't think it's gonna be dramatic as this, but like, you know, I started writing, and I just got all these things out. And I'm like,
yeah.
All right, I needed that. I need to do that. And you know, sometimes I fall back on it. Sometimes I don't do it for a little bit, but like I still know that it's there, and so I execute it whenever I have a lot in my thought, or like I'm getting ready to preach a sermon, or if I feel like God's trying to, you know, like, you know, I'm not saying I'm doing it every single day during this fast, but it's like when I'm having these thoughts, I'm writing it down.
Yeah,
I'm a forgetful person.
Right.
Yo, I'm gonna forget what I
We
told.
all are, because we're so busy.
Listen, when this podcast comes out, I'm gonna forget what I said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yo, I got 10,000 other things I'm thinking about right now.
Right.
And I'm gonna forget what's on this podcast. But yeah, you want to get to know the will of God. You need to get to know God. Yeah. Simple as that. Like, and you just have to hop in. That's okay if you don't know it all. Yeah. We're not supposed to. Fun fact. Yeah. We're not supposed to know it all, and that's kind of the point. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and that's where faith really comes in. Yeah. And I think big faith is what that is. Having big faith, not human faith, not relying on your own understanding. Your card's full. Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay. So I don't think it even got that part. So. Yeah. All right, but yes. So having big faith, having Bible faith, not human faith, because when you rely on human faith, you're relying on your own logic, on your own human instincts, and you're not necessarily doing that Bible faith, which is faith not by sight, you know. And I think that's an encouraging word for some of you guys that are listening, tuning in. So yeah, just want to leave you with that word. I hope that you guys enjoy the pod. I hope that it was somewhat entertaining, but also enlightening at the same time, because that is our goal, to entertain, but also to enlighten, encourage, and empower you to live a blessed life.
like I said early on today.
I'm piecing the camera like it's still working.
For the YouTube listeners, we apologize.
I'm sorry.
We failed to realize that the SIM card that I used was full.
Well,
so
you know what? You don't need to get. When's your birthday? Don't say
in
no
2 months.
Oh, 2 months? Okay, I'm gonna get you a bigger SIM card.
Okay.
Because I'm so tired of this camera running full.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a bigger freaking SIM card.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm doing.
All right.
You already know your birthday present.
But for my Spotify and Apple listeners, you don't have to worry about our pretty or ugly faces.
Oh, that's me.
Thank you for tuning in on Spotify and Apple. You guys are the truth. You guys are the real MVPs. Thank you guys for tuning in on Spotify. For those that aren't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are a subscribed person, go ahead and share it so I can get others to come into the conversation. But as always,
so hold on, should we give them a little bit of taste of what's going to be coming in 2024, or should we kind of keep some of that to ourselves?
I think I'm gonna tuck it in for right now. So
we're gonna tuck it, okay.
Therefore, tune in. Because 2024 there will be some cool things that I want to do and experiment with. We're gonna have more panels. We got more guests coming. We got a bunch of stuff coming. I have merch on the works.
Hey,
finally, after
merch!
3 years of potting, I'm finally working on merch. So,
can I be your model? Can I be one
yes,
of the models?
absolutely. I'm going to need models. I'm going to need female models, male models, tall male models, like such as this beautiful specimen here. So merch is coming soon. I can't give you a date. All I can say is it's coming soon. I'm really excited about this year.
Me too. There's gonna be a lot of good things coming out this year.
Absolutely.
A lot of good things.
The aesthetic is probably going to change too. I'm probably going to get some cool lighting also.
We just need to get you a permanent pod space.
Yeah,
bro. That's what because once we do that, you can invest all.
So if you guys know of any investors that are willing to invest their money to talent such as us, DM me.
I'm sorry. Did you just say talent?
Yeah. God, I believe that God gifted me with giftings and talents for me to use to contextualize the gospel. Okay, that's what I believe. But anyway, we're off on a rant here.
And
we're not even like on camera, but we are on audio, and you're listening, and you're going.
And we appreciate you guys.
When are these guys going to just end the show?
Never. No.
We're going to end it right now. So
just hit the end button.
I know, right? But thank you guys for tuning in, for listening. We love you guys. Until next time, bro. Stay tuned because we're coming with more fire, more heat, and we love you for the support. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.